Never a doubt. Vikings hold on in London. They beat the Browns 21-17. Carson Wentz with the game-winning drive at the end. Luke Inman right here. We got your 60-minute deep dive reaction coming up. But first, let's meet the crew.
I'm Sam Ekstrom. Welcome to the Squad Show. The Vikings could not afford to lose a game against a quarterback that completed one good throw all day.
The Browns starting a rookie quarterback have been 0-16 since 1999. Now it's 0-17. History was on the Viking side.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at another Vikings Squad Show. All the instant reaction you can handle, including Carson Wentz, ice in the veins with the game-winning 10-play, 80-yard drive at the end. We're going to touch on the biggest turning points from this one, which player's stock is pointed up. Before we get into all the action, quick reminder, like and subscribe. Keep up with all the action. So close to 10,000 subscribers. And, of course, go check out our guy Luke Braun over on Locked On Vikings. That's each and every day. Ron, let's just kick things off with you. Last week, it was putrid, man. The entire team just looked broke, offense, defense, special teams. Fast forward to today, a lot more ebbs and flows, some good, some bad, but like all good teams in this league, sometimes it doesn't matter how ugly it looks. Good teams find a way to get the job done, and now the Vikings get to come back home with a week of rest sitting at 3-2. What was the one thing on your mind as you watched Carson Wentz lead the Vikings down on that 10-play, 80-yard drive for the go-ahead game-winning score?
Well, first, special teams. The Browns just a toe nail too far. If that guy doesn't put his toe in the thing,
Yep.
I don't think it happens because it would have been a 99-yard drive, and that is almost inevitable to not happen because you're backed up to start. You already have a Carson Wentz who has a bad shoulder, probably didn't want to take too many more hits, wasn't going to give you much with his legs. That's why, honestly, I mean, if you watch the amount of times he probably could have run and had some big plays, that's why I think everybody wants J.J. McCarthy back, but we haven't heard a ton about J.J. McCarthy even being close to being ready to go. But maybe they're just trying to keep it quiet so Carson Wentz can get these 2 weeks and really, dive into this offense and not put anything in his back mirror of like, hey, if you screw up, man, don't it's over for you. But yeah, I mean, 10 plays, 80 yards, absolutely surgical. Honestly, like I was going to tweet this and I still tweet it later after I kind of rewatched this. Why didn't they play this way the whole game? Like I said this from the start, go tempo, let Carson Wentz be who Carson Wentz is, which is he's a gunslinger. Let him get out there and just throw the ball around, run the ball when they get guys out the box. It seemed like early on he was throwing some quick stuff. And then eventually in the second half, he came back and he said, hey, let me see if we can go deep. No, you can't. You cannot go deep with Myles Garrett over there. And no matter how many guys you try to block with him, that defensive line is good. And you could see it right away. Joe Huber, unfortunately, like he was center stage of getting like absolutely whirlwind. But that was just Carson Wentz with poise. I loved it. I loved the whole drive. I loved the whole concept of get the ball out your hands. You saw a couple screens to receivers. You saw the running backs getting involved. But at the end of the day, I thought that the Browns were going to try to say, hey, let's let them score. And then we can get the ball back and we'd have more time to score a touchdown. Because on that last throw, I don't know what covers they were in. It looked like some type of zone because 21 kind of like had his eyes on Hockenson running a quick or Ward. 21. Yeah, had his eyes on the inside staring at Hockenson as if like he thought the safety was going to be closer to Jordan Addison. And Carson Wentz made a perfect throw, put it right on the corner of that pylon. Addison catches it, gets the body down for the touchdown. And you can see even when he jumped, like, I don't know if you saw, it looked so dumb, but he jumped and didn't even put his arms up. He kind of jumped like, oh, this is over my head. And then Addison is right there. So I love the poise in Carson Wentz. If that's the last game Carson Wentz plays as a Minnesota Viking, I think everybody can say Kevin O'Connell finds ways to make quarterbacks great.
Sam, just on that point, 9 for 9. 71 yards on that final drive for Carson Wentz. To Ron's point, yeah, wish the entire game looked like that. But to Jordan Addison, the go-ahead game winner. Obviously, we don't know exactly the details why Jordan Addison missed that first quarter, but you're starting to see, and of course, we're still waiting for J.J. McCarthy, and we're going to talk about the offensive line later on, but you're just starting to see all the skill players when healthy on the field together. When things are clicking, this offense can be really good.
Yeah, and imagine if you had the full offensive line. They're down 80% of their offensive line on that final drive, and they executed the short passing game. And they had, one explosive in there to Justin Jefferson, who was magnificent for the game. A little hot takey. I thought that this offensive approach throughout this game was actually pretty above average. Now, they had their down moments. Whenever they had to drop Carson Wentz back, typically bad things happened. But I felt like because of the extreme nature of the situation, because of the injuries on the offensive line and what you've seen from Justin School and the rookie Joe Huber, because of that extreme circumstance, I felt like Kevin O'Connell actually made the adjustment we've been asking for 4 weeks. That was an offense I would like to see J.J. McCarthy run. A lot of quick concepts, a lot of extra protections, a lot of Josh Oliver, C.J. Ham in the mix. I felt like that's what we've been asking for. We saw it kind of throughout the first half, at times in the second half. Vikings shot themselves in the foot with penalties and fumbles. But that offense had some movement today. There was some momentum that I really liked. And it finally came to fruition. They finally finished a drive there at the end. I thought they deserved this win. I thought their offense was much better than the Browns. We can talk about the run defense, but Carson Wentz clutch. I mean, that is such a big drive, such a big win, a 3-2 record. You split London, you come away feeling a little reprieve. Like, now we've got a chance after this bye to get a little healthier, maybe go on a run. Maybe McCarthy can get back. Maybe he can be what we think he can be. Just totally changes the entire nature of the season with that one drive, that one win.
Yeah, the difference between going home into your bye with this beat up, banged up offensive line, got some questions at running back now as well. Still waiting for guys like Van Ginkel and Cashman. The difference between 3-2 going into that bye and 2-3, knowing you got Philly Lumen out of the bye, just feels like a night and day difference. What else? What other big turning points really come to mind? Sam, you touched on it. 2 turnovers. Not often you win in the NFL losing the turnover battle by 2, and then 7 penalties for 50 yards. But I'm going to go back, biggest turning point. I'm going to go back all the way to, I guess it would have been the 4th drive. So they fumble on their first drive, and you're thinking, okay, when we think back to last week with Pittsburgh, this is like 19 drives in a row. We're struggling, and then to go watch Cleveland take that turnover and cash it in for a touchdown. Things felt like, oh my gosh, this could fall apart really quick. Things could get very ugly very quickly. Maybe this team is just broken right now. We need to go home. We need to get healthy, rest up during the bye. But Carson Wentz comes back and scores a touchdown, 8-play, 82-yard drive. Jordan Mason cashes it in at the goal line. But that made it 7-7, and it's just like, okay, maybe we are here to play, and we can compete versus the Browns till the very end. Ron, what was another big turning point in your eyes from this one?
Well, I think emotionally, one was Carson Wentz coming back out in the second half. I think everybody was you could see the Vikings looking around. I mean, Jordan Mason went down and he got back up. I'd say that was a mental turning point, like for him to put that shoulder strap on, and it was hurting him. Like, it looks like some type of AC joint maybe, or some type of just bruise or strain. But it's one of those that if he kept falling on it, because if you watch every time he got hit after that, and it's the left one, sorry, but when he's throwing, if you watch, he made sure to kind of fall so that he would fall on his back and not either shoulder, because you could tell it was like, he looked uncomfortable every once in a while when he raised that arm up to kind of see if he could even move it. And he didn't move it above his head after that. Like, he never once did this to throw, and you can't see me in the camera. Sorry, people from up at home, but he never kind of did that. He kind of kept that arm down so that front arm can lead forward. He was definitely trying to favor it. So I think that was a huge one. Other than that, game-wise, I would say that Justin Jefferson catch, like that catch down the field.
Which one?
The one at the end, the fade route at the end to kind of, get that last drive. It was already turning, but that one kind of felt like, all right, they can at least kick a field goal and go in overtime now. So I think that gave everybody okay, we're in field goal range now. But that was a huge catch. That was a huge throw. That was a 50-50 ball. Like, that ball was not like it was anybody's ball. And Justin Jefferson just showed today why he is the best receiver in the league right now. I don't care what people say. You can say Jamar Chase. You can try to say, whoever else you want. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league, and he showed it today with some of those catches. Those were high throws. Thank goodness the Browns were not like Brian Dawkins of the old, because that one where the DB kind of hit Justin Jefferson in the back up the seam and he caught it.
Yeah.
Oh, he could have took his ribs apart.
Yeah,
and
Ed Reed would have wiped him out. Yeah.
He looked like he was going for the ball. I think he thought Justin wasn't going to make the catch because it was so high, and it was high. And I think he thought like, "Oh, this is my pick." And JJ just kept climbing that ladder, and he just bumped him in the back. Because I was like, "Oh, this could be bad." But Carson Wentz even said he's been working on that layered throw to kind of get it over that linebacker level coverage in that two, and stick it up the seam. And he did a great job of it today. So the Vikings, and I did the play breakdown today. So the 3-minute drill with Ron Johnson, and I put it. I think it's on Twitter now. But I broke down all the motions and shifts and then attacking the corner routes because those DBs for some reason get lost. And if you think about it, the touchdown was a corner route, and the big play to Justin Jefferson early was a corner route. The Naylor and Justin Jefferson throws were a lot of out and corner routes. TJ Hawkinson's was an out corner route. So the Vikings did watch the film as well and saw that the Browns were very, very vulnerable for some reason on those deep corner routes.
It felt in this game, you guys, like every turning point kind of favored the Browns until the very end of the game. You think through this game, Vikings are moving the ball, fumble. Happened a couple times. Big run by Mason. Big pass to Naylor. Penalty. 4th down and 1. Chance for the Vikings to get a stop. Conversion. Like the Browns took advantage of every hinge point in this game, and the Vikings found a way to stay in it, and then the final drive came together. But throughout the game, didn't it feel like it was a step forward and 2 steps back every single time? There might be some momentum. Oh, Miles Price, great return. Holding call. How many special teams penalties are we going to have? It was just a continual, like, jab, punch, roundhouse. Like, the Vikings were taking body blows from a combination of their own self-inflicted mistakes, the Browns kind of enforcing their will on the ground, penalties were setting them back every other drive. Kind of unbelievable they found a way to win with as much adversity as they faced in this game. Because Luke, can you think of any more moments that kind of favored the Vikings flipping momentum in this game? There's not a lot of them. Not a lot of great moments.
There's not a lot, and the one I'm about to unveil here and throw down on the table, it doesn't really connect to, like, when I tell you what happens after this play. It's the Ryan Wright 77-yard punt. So Cleveland scores a touchdown, right? 17-14. You're like, all right, we got to match that energy. They go 3 and out. And they have terrible field position. Here comes Ryan Wright, the 77-yard punt. They down it all the way to the Cleveland 2. Plus, there's a penalty, gets it to the 1. They go 3 and out, and they punt it. You go, that's what we needed. We're going to get great field position. That was the Miles Price, actually. Great return to the 40. You're feeling good. Next play, first play from scrimmage, it's a fumble by Xavier Scott, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, that didn't really equate to much positive momentum. So you're right, Sam. I mean, we'd have to sit here and cherry pick each play by play, but even the ones that did feel good at the time didn't really equal or equate to anything positive when you go look at the box score the next morning.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings, I guess, thanks to that 77-yard punt, they kind of held the field position advantage for a while, kind of kept the Browns stuck in their own territory. And really, after that touchdown drive for the Browns that gave them the lead, really did nothing. I don't think they had a drive. Check the box score on this. I don't think they had a drive longer than 5 plays.
3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt, 5 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt. Flores continues to just I don't know how we feel about Dylan Gabriel's actual performance. I didn't think it was, box score says 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, only took 2 sacks. Okay, not bad. But when you watch the game, you pointed it out already, Sam, no explosives whatsoever. Everything was short of the sticks. And if you watched him during the preseason, we talked about it on the Thursday squad show, 20 for 22 in the preseason. That's fantastic. Oh my God. Great completion percentage, very quick hitting stuff, short stuff, short of the sticks. He wasn't anything special, but Flores continues to dominate rookie quarterbacks. I think now he's 18-0. I want to say the broadcast graphic had him at 17-0 versus rookie quarterbacks. Flores in that second half and really that fourth quarter just really finally put the clamps down on this Cleveland Browns offense.
Yeah, I think they said Trevor Lawrence got him once in 2021.
That's right. Yep.
That's the only time that he's lost against a rookie.
Yeah, 2021.
He's perfect. He's perfect as the Vikings D coordinator now, 5-0. And again, we're going to debate this, Ron. I'd love your take on it. Are you happy with the way the defense is performing? Like, the point totals against are low, right? The passing defense is really good. They just can't stop the run. But they're keeping teams off the scoreboard for the most part. I've got mixed feelings about the way I look at this defense.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Flores is doing a great job, but you're right. Yeah, it's kind of like a bend but don't break defense. The one thing I'd say is it's points. When you look at the points given up per game for the defense, for the Minnesota Vikings, it was 20 points per game, which is ninth in the NFL. What did they give up today? 17. So they were below their average today. I mean, they did their job. And then vice versa. I kind of hit the nail on the head, in the pregame show saying that the Browns have been giving up 25 points. Even though they have one of the best defenses in the NFL, they've been giving up 25 points on big splash plays. Like in today it showed, they gave up some splash plays. Carson Wentz kind of, I think, listened to Kevin O'Connell, said, I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to take this shot. Like, do it. But I saw a bunch of the commenters in the comments saying, they still think Wentz is holding on to the ball too long. And the offensive line did a pretty good job. And I think they did. I do think Wentz holds it on to it. But, when I review the film this week, which I got a lot of time since we got the bye week, that's what I'm going to look for is like on some of those sacks, which is only 3. It could have been worse. It was only 3 sacks. Did he hold the ball too long? Or some of the ones he got flushed out the pocket. Was there an open receiver he just missed? Those are the little things that everybody's can nitpick. But the good thing is you can nitpick and not feel bad. It was a win. So those are the things you have to nitpick. But then for Kevin O'Connell watching the film on the way back across the pond, my guess is because he knows he has 2 weeks now to make a decision on who's a starting quarterback against the Eagles. And he's going to look and say, hey, would J.J. McCarthy have made this throw here? Would J.J. McCarthy maybe run a little bit quicker and got out the pocket, and scamper for 6-7 yards? All those things come down to it with Carson Wentz in his offense, but with the Vikings attacking the Browns defense, again, yardage. They only gave up 222 yards a game. The Vikings at 349. So again, it was a back and forth game, but I think Brian Flores, for the most part, took advantage of a rookie quarterback. I was just surprised he didn't throw an interception. Like I thought there was going to be at least one interception coming from Dylan Gabriel, and he kind of held his own.
I'm really puzzled by some of the tweets I'm seeing talking about Dylan. Like, I don't know what one publication said. Dylan Gabriel gave Cleveland fans hope with a flawless performance. I don't know about that. He's only 6 feet tall. It's very hard for him to throw with the right, I don't know, leverage or angle on these deeper throws. He was supposed to be a good deep ball thrower from college, but anything downfield, he was airmailing. I mean, the uncatchable balls. Like, you might have actually seen the officials go like this if there was a flag. Oh, uncatchable, because he threw everything over his receivers' heads downfield.
Yeah,
I've got him. No, I've got him on one good throw. I thought the 3rd down touchdown to Njoku was great. One good throw all game. And I think that's, some rookie debut nerves, but probably some good Flores work as well.
I know this is not Browns post game or Browns squad show, but honestly, I'm wondering if Dylan Gabriel throws for 190 yards a game, 1 touchdown, maybe 2, but then 2 or 3 interceptions. Do you bring Shedeur Sanders in, or do you go back to Joe Flacco? I know they keep saying Joe Flacco was the backup, but he didn't give you anything. So either you're trying to tank for somebody that nobody wants anyway to tank for. Like, I don't know what you're tanking for at this point, unless it's, you got running backs. I don't know what they could want to tank for, the offensive lineman. Or maybe just a trade value. Like, hey, let's get this first pick and then we can trade it some people for a bunch of capital. But I just wonder, like, at some point, do you just go to Shedeur Sanders to see what you have in him? Because clearly, if Dylan Gabriel can't get it done, Joe Flacco's not the future. Could Shedeur Sanders be the future? And I just feel like the ownership wants to put this on the GM if it doesn't work. But if it does work, then does Andrew Berry get credit and the owners finally say, hey, he made a great decision? Because, I don't know, but I feel like Shedeur Sanders is a gamer. He's taller. He can see over the line a little bit better, and he drives the ball in, not up. So I just wonder that. I wonder, is that the in answer to this? Because at 5'11", you're right, Sam. Like, it felt like he couldn't see his target, so he kind of just threw it up, hoping like, okay, let me get it there. And he doesn't have that touch. But it could be rookie nerves.
Maybe this is crazy. Maybe the quarterback ecosystem, like the play caller, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, maybe it actually makes a difference. I still think back to Baker Mayfield, watching Baker Mayfield succeed, and it, he did it in Carolina too. So it's not just the Browns, but watching Baker Mayfield thrive in Tampa after Cleveland used the #1 overall pick on him. I want to go back just real quick, Ron. I know we only got you for a couple more minutes, but Sam, you can jump in as well. The run defense, I really hammered on Thursday. I'm just shocked how bad this run defense has been. Again, I don't know if it's just a Blake Cashman thing. We can say Harrison Phillips being traded has a lot to do with it, but I haven't heard Jonathan Allen or Javon Hargrave's name much at all through 5 weeks in the run game specifically. And I just think back to last year's defense. This defense only allowed one team to rush over 100 yards through the first 5 weeks. That was San Francisco with Jordan Mason. This year through 5 weeks, they've allowed it 4 times. Quinshon Judkins, the latest culprit, 17 carries, $110, over 150 yards on the ground. Is it just a Blake Cashman thing? I mean, we saw it last year, right? Versus Detroit and the Rams, the pre-snap communication stuff. Is it too much, Ron? 3 safety looks, just not enough big bodies in there? What do you pin just the struggles of the run defense on through these first 5 weeks?
Yeah, if you have a true like 5-man, 6-man front because you got 5 DBs out there, that's tough. 3 offensive line, 3 linemen. You got, your ends are not playing true end. One of them is rushing, the other one is kind of a drop in.
Yeah.
And then Blake Cashman usually drops into one of those gaps. I think that is the key. Like Blake Cashman is a great run diagnoser. He's a great, hard-nosed, hard-line tackler. I feel like Eric Wilson and Ivan Pace are kind of similar in their style of play. So you are kind of missing a banger that's willing to run up in there, kind of disrupt the whole run play and cut it off. So yeah, that could be part of it. I mean, Blake Cashman, was it, I think another week or 2 before he's back. So, and hopefully he's healthy and ready to go when he's back. Cause that's the other problem with that. Like you go on IR, but it's a soft tissue hamstring. Is it really going to be ready to go? Hopefully that is enough. We remember Justin Jefferson's hamstring, he came back. So, hopefully it's one of those, like it wasn't too bad because he didn't keep running. He didn't really pull it. It's just a slight little, all right, let me get this thing back. But I think that is part of it. I think but the other is just want to, like, are they lined up in the right scheme to stop the run? Sometimes if you're playing more pass and thinking pass, your edges and your gaps are just, the run lanes are just too big. And you remove the 32-yard long by Judkins, now you're more in that 70-yard range, 75-yard range. You got to stop the explosive runs too.
Yeah, probably just a lot of little declines, right? Like you probably got a little worse in run defense going down from Tillery and Bullard. You lose Van Ginkel, good run stopper. You lose Cashman, good run stopper. And you've had a limited Harrison Smith, good run stopper, supporting from that safety position too. So just a lot of little declines that I think are contributing to this. Well, we just keep knocking on wood saying when they get healthy, it'll be different. I think the time will tell. Now they're going to face some real rushing threats, right? Like this is just the appetizer. Now it's going to get serious after the bye. We'll learn a lot. You're muted, Luke.
Plenty more deep dive from this one. Lots to get into. What we loved, what we hated. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Certain businesses make the neighborhood, right? Places that become an extension of our home, whether it's the local sports bar dedicated to the Vikings, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or the local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. Go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see ya in the neighborhood. All right, I know we got Ron for maybe just a couple more minutes here. What we loved, what we hated. I'll kick it off. What we loved. Can't say, maybe love is too strong of a word, but all in all, considering you got your left tackle 2, maybe 3, right guard 2, center 3, right tackle 2 out there. All in all, against this ferocious, nasty Cleveland front 4, and granted, props to KOC so for some quick play calling, I thought the backup offensive line was okay. I thought they were okay. And then just one little more cherry on top. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins with his first sack of his pro career. Love to see that as well. What'd you guys love today? Try to find a positive here.
I loved they got a dub over in London. You gotta love the dub. You gotta eat the dub in London. You gotta love it. So here's the thing. Football at the end of the season, when they look back and if they say they beat the Eagles and they're 4-2, people just they don't care how the win happened. The fact is that they won. It wasn't pretty. There was some ups and downs here and there. The Browns, I think there was the graphic that said number of plays run while the Browns had the lead. And I think before the Vikings, that time they took the lead, it was like 2 plays had been run with the lead on offense or something like that. Like that was crazy. And so did the Browns play one of their better games against the Vikings? Yeah, for sure. Did the Vikings put up more yards than any other team did on the Browns this season? Yep, they did. They outkicked their coverage and they did way better than what people assumed. That's what I loved. I love that they did that. They got the win. I hated the going away from the original opening of the game, which was quick hitters, fast plays at the end of the game. I loved the so I hated that they didn't do what they did at the end of the game, the whole game. Like just spread it out and go quick. Don't let the Browns get set. Make their DBs. Their DBs is the worst part of their defense. Let them get confused as much as possible. And I feel like, it worked. So, you can't be too mad at it, but I just wish there was more of an emphasis on like, let's see what Carson Wentz can do versus, hey, Carson, don't lose this game for us.
Yeah, the first time they dared to try to drop him back 7 steps, I think School got absolutely toasted.
Yeah,
on the edge.
McGuire, Isaiah McGuire, no shot.
Less of that, please. I did the math. I think so. They 40 dropbacks. We'll see you, Ron.
Ron's got to run.
Got more
Thanks, Ron.
duties. Yeah, great stuff. I think they had 40 dropbacks in the game because they had 34 pass attempts, 3 sacks, 3 rushing attempts by Wentz. 3 sacks out of 40. So that's a 7.5% sack rate. That's good. That is an acceptable sack rate. The team had been on a franchise record pace sack rate. We talked about this all week on the weekly squad shows. 13%. That is a franchise worst. So they basically
David Carr-esque for people, by the way. David Carr-esque, where the bar goes no higher when we talk about terrible protection. Just want to point that out. Continue.
No doubt about it. So for them to have an acceptable sack rate, yeah, it's Carson Wentz. He's probably going to take a couple sacks. I thought the offensive line had a Herculean effort, and I didn't even realize. It sounds like this was part of the plan, and we can talk about whether this is a good plan or not. Mm-hmm. Sounds like Christian Darrisaw was on a snap count.
It was odd.
Pitch count.
It was odd. Would have loved to know that, so we're not all pulling our hair out going, oh, no, is he hurt again? What's going on? But, yeah, that was a head-scratcher for sure, Sam. Yeah.
Yeah. So they apparently were planning on putting Walter Rouse in there at tackle later in the game, moving School to left. And, they didn't give up a sack for 2.5 quarters. Then they had a little sloppy stretch. They ran into some longer third downs because of penalty issues. But then on the final drive, for them to protect the way they did, KOC schemed up a lot of good stuff. I thought the concepts were creative today. I thought they were getting their playmakers out in space really well. And they had some failures too, even schemed up a couple of decent screenplays. Not all of them. But I was just really impressed with the offensive line. And people in the comments are giving a lot of love to Blake Brandel at center. I know he had a holding call, but I felt like Brandel, for the first time in his career playing that position, did a really nice job. And I love Joe Huber in the preseason. I thought he was pretty decent as well, other than the sack he gave up. I think we'll have to get a closer look at the tape, but that was an encouraging performance by the offensive line, no doubt. And coming out after the bye, you won't have Kelly back. So do you keep Brandel at center? I think that's the big question with Juergens having that hamstring injury.
It all starts right at center. It starts in the middle. There's so much importance. There's so much emphasis, obviously, on the center quarterback exchange and communication. Who's calling out the mic? Who's calling the audibles? Things like that. And to see Blake Brandel step in the way he did. And we've seen his versatility in the past, Sam. Left tackle versus the Buffalo, the miracle game, right? Left guard last season, this offseason, right guard during training camp. I didn't know he had center in his bag of tricks until recently when we heard he was practicing to step in the way he did against this front four. I don't know how you don't roll with Blake Brandel at this point. The drop-off we saw from Ryan Kelly to Michael Juergens was just so big that Blake Brandel kind of shortened that gap quite a bit and made everybody else around him, I think, just look that much better, which was outstanding as well. How about what we didn't like? What did we hate? How about Jordan Addison? Could have used you, bud. In that first quarter. I don't know what we're doing. I'm sure we'll hear the details. Sounds like
we have a report on that. We have a report.
Walkthrough. Maybe is that it? Go ahead. Yeah, what do you got?
Well, let's hit the breaking news sounder for this one. Missed walkthrough in London, and I don't know. I don't know if there's more rumor coming out about this. Just feels like he had some responsibility, maybe stayed out too late. Again, they were there all week, right? So this is not. I think in the past when you go to London, you go Thursday night, arrive Friday morning. You're practicing right away. It's very regimented, very controlled. I bet you're not really exploring at all. You're probably just hanging out in a very small scope. This was a full-on road trip. This was a 10-day venture. There was going to be time off. There was going to be time to explore for the players, and Addison took advantage of that. Did not get to a walkthrough on time. That's a huge no-no, and it sounds like he talked to the team about it, and that was his team-issued punishment. So,
Brandel is KOC's Metellus on the O-line, and that's just fantastic. Bad dad joke. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know. They're sitting at 3-2. It wasn't ugly, or excuse me, it wasn't pretty today. It was pretty ugly. Obviously, they're going through a plethora of injuries, right, Sam? But I don't know. One more bad thing. It's kind of grinding my gears, and I already brought it up with the rush defense. I don't know how much longer you can win in the NFL week to week when you are so incompetent at running the football, Sam, on offense, and then stopping the run on defense. I know it's a pass-happy league. I know everybody loves the sexy, splashy deep throws and chunk plays, right, in the intermediate and deep. But at the end of the day, let's just think about their next game versus Philly. What's going to happen for Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, let alone being able to keep your defense fresh like we saw they didn't do versus Pittsburgh and Atlanta, and be able to just sustain drives, whether it's J.J. McCarthy, whether it's Carson Wentz, whether it's, Juergens or Brandel. I don't care. They got to be able to start winning in the trenches more consistently, Sam. And to be honest, when I think about just how bad they've struggled in both those areas, I'm kind of surprised they're 3-2, to be honest, because they just haven't played that great of football where it really matters at the end of the day when games are on the line the most.
Well, this team last year was dominating quarters 1, 2, and 3, right? It was clear from opening kickoff most weeks who the better team was. Had to hang on some weeks, got a little hairy at the end of games. That was just a dominant play-to-play team. This team's feeling a little 2022-ish, right? Sloppiness, relying on late-game comebacks. Could have easily lost to the Bears, could have easily lost today. Certainly deserved the losses that they suffered against Atlanta and Pittsburgh. What's curious, Luke, is that you're going up against Dillon Gabriel, right? So you get to game plan all week knowing that it's his first game, right? If we load up against the run and force him to make throws, it's probably going to go our way. And they couldn't do it. Dillon Gabriel was able to escape. I counted up at one point, I think it was 16 completions to tight ends and running backs. They really let him off the hook. They didn't force him to make a lot of difficult throws. And when he had to make difficult throws, he was totally overmatched. And they couldn't do it. Couldn't slow down Quinshon Judkins. So your concern is totally valid with what's coming up on the schedule. 100% legit. Eagles are another team that does not have a vibrant passing game by any means. They have not been outstanding by any stretch of the imagination at passing the football. So if you can't devote yourself to loading up against Saquon Barkley and slowing him at least, maybe not stopping him completely, that's going to be a concern. How about on the other side of the running game? Couple running back fumbles. That's 2 in 2 weeks for Jordan Mason. Can't happen. Can't happen. And now that's 2 weeks in a row without a takeaway also, I think.
Interesting. We haven't talked about that. We should talk about that tomorrow morning, perhaps. Very interesting note there as well. The fumbles definitely make you think, do we have a running back problem? It's tough because Jordan Mason looks so good, doesn't he? When he gets into a rhythm, he can actually get 5, 10, 15 touches a game. But those 2 fumbles are so costly. And again, they're lucky to squeak out of there with a victory. When you lose the turnover battle 2-0, then you got Xavier Scott, a UDFA from last year, finally getting some real run, gets a little bit more valuable reps with Aaron Jones out. And he's looked good. He looked good last week versus Pittsburgh, had that great touchdown catch, tiptoe in the back of the end zone. But you just can't fumble in this league. You just can't have those turnovers as a running back. How about coach's corner time? Favorite, least favorite coaching decision? I'm talking game management, play call, halftime adjustment, whatever it may be. What stuck out the most, KOC or Flores? Let me start with this. You know this. I always used to say nothing bad ever happens when you send Harrison Smith on a blitz. Maybe it's not always a sack or an interception. Sometimes it is. But like 4 out of 5 times, it's a positive play. The quarterback throws an incompletion, rushes the throw, whatever it may be. Putting Justin Jefferson in the backfield, Sam, is starting to feel like that. Now, last week, they used him as a decoy. They got a first down. They picked up a chunk play. That was nice. This week, they motioned him out of the backfield, and it's that such easy pitch and catch that I don't know why the NFL has yet to figure out how to stop that play. But even more kind of tantalizing when you're not using a running back, you're using Justin Jefferson to pick up the play. So I just love that play call. I hope they continue to do it, whether he's a decoy or he's the first option in the first read. I love that play design. And there were some other ones too, Sam, that in the moment I was like, oh, I've never seen that kind of play design from KOC.
Yeah.
He's in his bag of tricks right now. KOC's in his bag. And I can't wait to go back and rewatch this game because there's 2 or 3 other unique, creative play designs. And I'm not even talking about the halfback pass, by the way, which scored the first touchdown. Cam Akers, go off, young man, hitting Josh Oliver for the first score to make it 7-7. But there were some other just play designs in there, Sam, that I was like, this guy's rolling right now. He's feeling himself. So I love the offensive creativity mixed with the balance of getting the ball out quick today, Sam.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. The Cam Akers halfback throw to Oliver. Let's talk about that. Did Cam Akers play another snap? Was that the only thing he did all day? I don't remember seeing him on the field on offense.
Can't
Just
confirm or deny that, but I don't remember specifically seeing him either way. I don't.
A little surprised it worked as seamlessly as it did, because you'd think that the antenna for the Browns would go up when they see, oh, there's one guy in the backfield. It's Cam Akers. Something crazy is going to happen here. It's probably not a straight running play. And for Josh Allen to be that wide open, that was cool. Clearly practiced, clearly scripted. Maybe they saw some kind of indicator on film that this would work. Credit to Akers, who apparently was a frequent thrower of the football in college. He was like 5 of 8 on trick plays. So cool.
So KFC's been keeping that in his bag of tricks this whole time here too. Huh?
Those trick plays have usually gone badly for the Vikings, haven't they?
Yes,
that was cool. That was cool. And also, we rip KOC and the Vikings for the screen game a lot, but how effective is that bubble screen to Justin Jefferson? That is good for 8 yards like clockwork. I think maybe he just knows how to set up his blockers, or he's very decisive. He knows where to kind of slither and get close to the first down. That play comes in handy when you need a quick pass. But just in general, the time they spent putting together a passing offense that had some cohesion, had some creativity. They were pretty effective at staying on schedule in this game. Just a hat tip to KOC in this one. I think KOC had a good day as a head coach, except for the weird timeout on the Hail Mary. What was going on there? Was he saying he didn't call the timeout? I don't know what that was about.
I couldn't tell there. Yeah, at the end. We'll have to get clarification at the end. Yeah, I think so. What? He stole a interception from Isaiah Rodgers there, which what do we do? Hey, why aren't we betting that ball down, Sam? What are we doing going for that pick? Things get a little hairy. Things get a little dicey when DBs try to pad the stats there. Plenty more deep dive. I want to ask you who our game MVP should be after this one. That's all coming up, though, right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Mazda. Mazda moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Every game, there's always key moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move the crowd, they move the culture, and they keep moving the game forward. Today's moment had to be Carson Wentz hitting Jordan Addison in the corner for the go-ahead game winner. So remember, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Let's hand out a couple game balls, a couple awards. Let's start just with the player of the game MVP today, Sam. Normally these typically go to a quarterback. Maybe you're going to hand it to Carson Wentz, which I think is more than fair. But I want to hear your kind of thought process, I guess, and your options A, B, and C, if you will.
Yeah, I think option A, betting line favorite's got to be Justin Jefferson, who made not 1, not 2, but I would say 3 pretty phenomenal catches in this football game and almost made a couple more too. He was right. I mean, he was given a lot of chances. Carson Wentz was not shy about throwing the ball his way. And I think we continue to learn and relearn over and over that the 50-50 ball to Justin Jefferson's a pretty good strategy. He's pretty good at contested catches. He's pretty good with that late, subtle, separator, puts his hands on the DB, gets his hands up, makes the play. But the adjustment he made on the ball over the middle that got them in scoring range didn't work out, mind you, but that was phenomenal. And then on the final drive, Luke, the catch he hauled in very tight coverage. You love to see it. Back-to-back 100-yard games for Justin Jefferson. When the offense is struggling the way it is, it's good to know that Justin Jefferson can still get his yardage. Who else you got on the candidate list?
Yeah, I mean, again, we got to talk about Carson Wentz. I think it is kind of top-heavy, though, with those two. You think about the defensive performances. Eric Wilson, you're going to see in the Star Tribune box score tomorrow morning, led the team with 9 tackles. Theo Jackson, second with 8 tackles. That's not always a good thing, though, Sam. When your safety is second on the team in tackles with 8, that means something's going wrong up front in the first 2 phases up there. Dallas Turner, I feel like Dallas Turner is playing good football. He's just not cashing. He did get a sack today, which was great to see, but he's just not cashing in maybe, on a lot of splash plays, but he's close. He's starting to cook a little bit. He's getting there. He's impacting the quarterback. I would like to see him improve in the running game a little bit more, setting that edge a little bit more. He got, failed to seal the edge, I guess I'll just put it, on Quinshon Judkins a few times, especially on some 3rd and short situations. And then Jonathan Grenard is kind of in the same category where it's like the dude is affecting and impacting the quarterback every single snap. He's just not getting home. That will all even out as we continue to go on. But I'm with you, man. JJ, 7 catches, $123, 18 yards per catch on 11 targets. And it's like, Sam, you talk about the circus acrobatic catches. He's making them look easy. We're at that point now where it was like Moss in like year 2, year 3, where it's like, yeah, no, I know. He just does that, though. He just does that every game, where it's like somebody new watching him was like, that was incredible, right? Like, that's not normal. It's like, well, it's not, but it's Justin Jefferson. We're just used to that now. And that's kind of, I feel like, where we're at. We're almost a little desensitized for just how impactful and outstanding his catch radius, but also his high pointing, right? For not being a 6'5.5" Megatron type of big bodied Julio Jones dude, his high pointing and able to, his ability to go up and get the ball over other DBs and safeties is just second to none right now. So those would be the I think 2 top heavy winners there. Will Reichert, maybe a day to forget, but he's been pretty much flawless up to this point. So I don't know how much I'm going to really pin on him. Ryan Wright, though, I see a lot of comments. Ryan Wright definitely deserves a little spotlight and love. Blake Brandel deserves a little spotlight and love for sure. Who's a guy that maybe is going to show up to TCO on whenever it is, Tuesday, Wednesday, and flip on the tape and say, I'm not enjoying watching the tape of myself today after this one. Who do you think's the guy?
Oh, that's a good question. With all the negativity in this game for the Vikings, like I'm not sure that you can look at a lot of individuals on the defensive side and say, oh, terrible game by them. I think the run defense lapses were kind of a group effort. I don't think the cornerbacks had a whole lot of work in this game, right? I don't think
they weren't really tested, right? They weren't tested that much,
No. I mean, I think, and you've got your moments on the offensive side where you can't hold Brandel, you can't hold Huber, you can't get cooked Justin School. Like every lineman kind of had their moment where they were put under fire. Someone's saying that Will Reichert's missed field goal hit a wire that was hanging over the field. I don't know if that's true or not.
Just for the LOLs, I hope so. Like what? What? Can you imagine if the Vikings would have lost? What we'd be talking about when we heard that news? No.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I have a glaring candidate other than the running backs have to hang on to the ball, right? I mean, that's got to take place. There was a lot of meat left on the bone in this game. Like offensively, penalties set you back, turnovers set you back, special teams blunders, right? Will Reichert has the short kickoff out of the landing zone, had a big Miles Price return wiped out. You had another holding call, I think. Penalties are still a problem for this team. Like that's going to be heavily harped on and should be heavily harped on during the bye. Like if you're, and maybe this is a good conversation to have, Luke. Okay, bye week, right? Time to reset, time to self-scout, self-evaluate, look within. Guys go to Cancun, KOC stays back, and he and the coaches circle up. What's the checklist to fix? 1, 2, and 3. You can't say get healthy because that's cheating. You got to fix just like what you're going to get better at after the bye. I think playing penalty-free football's got to be in those top 3.
Penalty play football. Was it 2 years ago? Justin Jefferson tweaked his hammy versus the Chiefs, but that was the year we started out with like 3-4 turnovers every single game. Do you remember that start we had?
Yes.
It's so cliche and it's so vanilla to come on here and talk about turnovers, but you touched on the turnovers with Jordan Mason and Xavier Scott, but again, you're not going to go beat the Philadelphia Eagles when you lose the turnover battle by 2. You're not going to go beat probably Justin Herbert, who's red hot, or Mario Hampton when you lose the turnover battle. Then it's at Detroit. Then it's probably Lamar Jackson's back with Baltimore and Derrick Henry's in town. You're just not going to be able to beat good teams here, Sam, when you lose the turnover battle. So I'm with you. Turnovers and penalties, you got to clean things up. They looked broken last week versus the Steelers. Everything looked broke. They looked better this week, but too many ebbs and flows, right? Which every team's going to have some ups and some downs during any 60-minute game every Sunday, but too many for my liking for how much we appreciate and how much we know KOC and Brian Flores, the impact they have on offense and defense. So cliche, I'm with you. The turnovers, not nearly to the degree. Was it 2 years ago, I want to say, with Kirk on the quarterback Netflix? Yeah. Not nearly to that magnitude with the turnovers, but, it's been an issue. No doubt about it.
Yeah. It's kind of, the Vikings are such a good example of how hard it is to continue the momentum you have from one season to the next. Every season's a new season. Every game is a new game. Progress is absolutely never linear. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Vikings have one back-to-back playoff appearance this quarter century, which is astonishing. With all the good teams they've had, all the good teams that have come back off of big seasons, for them to not be able to string more than one appearance in a row together. And the vibes are just that way again this year. Like they're 3-2, Luke, right? They've gotten to this point where they're still in the conversation. At least we can still have optimism after the bye. But you look at this team compared to, say, a Buffalo or say the Lions in the division or even the Packers. This does not feel like a team that's on that level at all right now. I think there's got to be a hope that you can tap into some upside with a healthier team. With an offense that makes and commits to some adjustments. And then I think the big one, Luke, is we know what Carson Wentz is, but the upside still lives with J.J. McCarthy. If you can find some upside there and get a higher level of play out of the quarterback position, that's where you're going to get back or closer to an elite level where they were at last year with Sam Darnold. Amazingly, this whole thing looked so much better last year with Sam Darnold at the helm.
So a week of rest, obviously, you don't play again for 2 weeks. Let me ask you this. I just want to touch on some injuries, and we can keep it kind of quick bullet point. Don't need to go in depth on all these names, but let's start with Christian Darrisaw. If you know he's going to be on a snap count, Sam, is it weird to say, well, let's get him in the fourth quarter instead of the first quarter, whatever that might look like? And by the way, dude played 77 snaps last week in Pittsburgh. So maybe there is fatigue in the knee. I know he rested 2 days of practice, Wednesday, Thursday, ended up suiting up on Friday, but clearly they got this game plan going on. Does it make sense to want him later in the game when the game matters most? And then B, how long do you think we're going to have to do this whole snap count scenario kind of, I don't want to call it a circus, Sam, but it kind of feels just very abnormal. I haven't seen that for an offensive lineman ever before.
No. Well, and this has been also the plan with Harrison Smith is a planned ramp-up period. So you've got two stalwarts, and we don't know what Harrison Smith was dealing with. We do know what Christian Darrisaw was dealing with.
Yeah.
I think it's just an odd choice to play him as much as they played him last week. That's not a ramp-up. That's a regression. Yeah. A ramp up is when you go from 30 to 50 to 70. You play 77 and then dial it back to 40. That feels like a regression. Now, maybe I'm not the doctor here, and it sounds like the team had a plan, but was it just a little soreness? I mean, can they just say that? Was that the case? Because that's understandable. Okay. I don't understand why that would be the plan, to play him as much as they played him against Pittsburgh. So just curious, just a little odd. This is a training staff that is a little more conservative than most. I think they hold guys out a little longer than some other teams might. Not saying that's right or wrong, but this plan of action, I think the greater question, Luke, is why burn him out early in the game? Why not rotate him out in the first half to save him for the second half? That's probably the biggest question that I would have. So maybe KOC clarified that after the game and spoke more to it. I can look for that on Twitter. But again, after the bye, we're just hoping that after the bye, some of these things can be taken care of. You don't have to snap count Harrison Smith. Don't have to snap count Christian Darrisaw, and get some dudes in there that are healthy.
Let's just stick with the offensive line here. Rattle through these two things. Tell me if you think this dude's going to play. We're not doctors, but just a hunch, right? Tell me what your gut says this dude's going to come back versus Philly after the bye. And if not, the big impact, big drop-off, I guess, that you think they'll have. Ryan Kelly, I'll start. Don't think he's going to start.
IR.
Yeah.
He's
He is
IR'd
on the IR officially. Thank you. The
so
drop-off, though, after seeing Blake Brandel, I don't think it's as significant, at least compared to what we saw with Michael Juergens. So I don't think that's too bad. Donovan Jackson, I know, was on the IR. Do you think he'll be back for the Philly game? Is he eligible coming back off that IR?
Yeah. Jackson is eligible. That'll be 3 weeks post-surgery for him. Remember, he had the surgery right after the Cincinnati game, and I think the plan has been to get him in for that Philadelphia game. So I'm going to say yes on Jackson.
Okay, and obviously huge upgrade going from your boy, who we like today outside of the holding call and the sack, Joe Hubert, but still getting your first-round pick. That would be huge as well. Brian O'Neill, doesn't sound like we'll see him anytime soon as well, I believe.
See, O'Neill was hurt against it was last week. He was not IR'd, though. Was not IR'd. And that's important to note. IR is a 4-week out period. So if you don't put him on IR, that indicates you think he can be back earlier. Now, a mild MCL sprain, if you read the websites, believe what WebMD is telling you, that can be a short-term injury. That can be 2 or 3 weeks and back. So if he misses, miss this week, bye week, comes back after 3 weeks of rest and plays against Philadelphia, it's realistic. It's possible. I'm going to say 60%.
Would you rather have Walter Rouse out there or Justin Skule? Just seeing what you've seen.
I've seen a lot of bad from Justin Skule, man. I'm willing to try Walter Rouse. I mean, Walter Rouse is also that's someone you drafted and developed and has shown enough in the preseason, I think, to get an opportunity. I would give him a chance.
Two more quick ones. Van Ginkel coming off the concussion. Do you think he'll be back in Philly? And if not, the drop off from him to Dallas Turner, who again has flashed, just hasn't really gotten home and connected on the splash plays too much.
Yeah. Again, not IR. So coming back against Philly is logical. And I don't know if they've deemed it a concussion or a neck.
Oh, it was the neck.
He's got a couple upper butt. He's had a concussion. And a lot of stuff happening above the shoulders for Van Ginkel, because they're saying that this is a lingering neck issue from the preseason where he had some time off. Then he suffered a concussion in the Bears game where he fell on his head after tipping a pass and got undercut. That's got to be bad for your head and your neck. So that could have been a kind of a double whammy there. And then played 8 snaps against Cincinnati. So he's really had a tough couple months. I think that if he comes back, it's probably a snap count situation like we had with Darrisaw. Probably a lot of rotation. We might only get him for 20 snaps, but that could be enough, too, for Van Ginkel to make an impact. Yeah,
played 8 snaps for Cincy and got to clean up another Jonathan Grenard pressure and got a sack on just one of those 8 snaps. Kind of hilarious. Last one, Blake Cashman. Boy, I think this is the biggest one here, Sam, for me. Just how bad the run defense has been, knowing how huge and important he is with the pre-snap communication and alignment. Do you think he'll be back week 6? And again, the drop-off from him to Eric Wilson, who's been fine as a backup. Ivan Pace, very up and down. Roller coaster with Ivan Pace so far this year.
Yeah, eligible to come back for Philadelphia.
Okay.
Hamstring. We all saw the hamstring injury happen in real time. He's chasing Caleb Williams. That thing popped. That's not an easy injury to come back from without a lot of ramp up, and hamstrings are tricky. They can unlock a 21-day ramp up period starting in week 7. I think it might require a little bit of practice time before he's ready. I'm going to say less than 50% on Cashman, unless that thing was mild and maybe he's been kind of rehabbing the last 2 weeks and getting back in shape. But I'm concerned about the hamstring.
If there was ever a game you needed Cashman back, Saquon and Jalen Hurts, that's the one I'm thinking about. But time will tell. We'll see. Quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, what we'll be talking about tomorrow morning, that's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by FanDuel. NFL season's here. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with this can't-miss offer right now. Check this out. New customers, you're getting $300 in bonus bets. If your bet wins, $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And while I love FanDuel, they got everything. Player props, same-game parlay, jumping in live as the action unfolds, my personal favorite. You name it, they got it. It's so quick. It's so easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more enthusiasm, a little bit more excitement to your Sundays. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. That's FanDuel.com. You're getting $300 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Full deep dive from this one tomorrow morning on the Viking Squad Show with our guy Arif Hassan. Luke Braun should be joining us for that as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, keep up with all the action. What we'll be talking about when the dust settles tomorrow morning. Kind of a little sneak peek for tomorrow's show, if you will. What's the A topic once this dust settles? It's so raw, it's so fresh when we jump on here 30 minutes right after the game ends. Things get emotional sometimes. But once we take the emotions out of the equation, what's the biggest talking point, I guess, for you and your eyes, Sam, after what we just watched unfold?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be proclaiming that this should be your starting offensive line. I think more so we'll be applauding what Kevin O'Connell did offensively to mitigate the issues on the offensive line, to limit Carson Wentz to only being sacked 3 times. And to be honest, a couple of those were probably Carson trying to extend the play and maybe getting himself in trouble. And if you joined us earlier in this show, you heard us talk about the concepts that were drawn up felt creative, they felt fresh, and it was kind of a facepalm. Where was this with JJ McCarthy? Where was this last week? Why did it take until now to make this adjustment? And sometimes extremes can create change. And the Vikings had an extremely dire offensive line situation, and they seemed to utilize this week really smartly to come up with some pretty ingenious stuff. Now, we also learned, Luke, that when you rely on that short passing game, it is harder to complete drives. You suddenly run into a penalty, and you get set back to 2nd and 18. It's going to be hard to work your way out of that. So the short passing game is not everything by any means, but I liked what I saw with the restrictions they had in place with their personnel. I thought this was a really good KOC game. Whoa.
Check this out. In the group chat, Luke Braun, who is live in London, right? He went to the Ireland game last week, went to the London game, obviously, today. My uncle sat with JJ McCarthy's dad. They made the trip because they thought he would play. He said it was really close, but they're being very, very cautious. So take that with a grain of salt, maybe, perhaps. But if that is accurate, Sam, that makes you think with another week of rest here now, with the bye week ahead, JJ McCarthy, is this his show to lose again? Is he getting the full reins here? Is he back under center versus Philly and Jalen Hurts?
I mean, people are gonna freak out at Diana Rossini because she had the report yesterday, trying to, she's tweeted a lot since then, but trying to find what she wrote about JJ McCarthy's status. I can't find the exact tweet. Maybe I can get to it in a minute, but
sure.
She insinuated that McCarthy is not that close, which is totally against what it seems like the Vikings have been kind of planning with him. The fact that he traveled overseas, made this trip, and did a little bit of work on the side at practice, trying to get ready for week 7, indicating that perhaps he's not on a timetable. if that turns out not to be true, that's just kind of another knock on Rossini, who people are already upset with here in this market. But the fact that he was on the trip, Luke, I don't know what it means to you. To me, it just means they wanted him to be around the process. They wanted him to be around the buildup of putting together the game plan, watching Carson Wentz operate, being in the meetings. I don't know if that meant that they thought he could necessarily play. It always felt to me like this is a logical 3-week period for Carson Wentz to play, McCarthy to get healthy, and then come back week 7. So until I'm told for certain otherwise by the team, that still feels like the plan to me. McCarthy week 7.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Barring any setback, of course, I'm actually starting to think about, the way the J.J. McCarthy injury kind of got unveiled to us. Like, we didn't know his ankle was hurt until KOC went to the presser the following day. Was it Monday or maybe Tuesday? I'm not sure, but kind of came as a shock, came as a surprise. Wentz hurt his shoulder, granted 2 completely different injuries. And I just wonder if Max Brosmer might be the number 2 going into Philly at that point. We were so close to the Max Brosmer era today, weren't we, Sam?
We got to kneel down.
One snap, one rushing yard for negative, 1 carry, I should say, negative 1 yards. Before we get out of here, quick little recap. I'm sure we'll touch on this tomorrow, but any bad beats from our picks, from our gambling picks on the squad show from Thursday? I went 1-1. Isaiah Bond did not get over 2.5, but Vikings won 1-6. I'm just looking for one funny, kind of hilarious bad beat we can talk about and make fun of. Anything on here? Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, we're going through this in real time. Arif didn't come close on Reichard, over 7.5 points. Gabriel, longest pass, under 30.5. That feels like a hit. Luke Braun loses on under 29.5 Hawkinson because he went over that. He also loses on Brown's ML. And then I went max bet on Mr. Adam Thielen going over 9.5 yards. And obviously, Luke, when you have a little stake in the matter, you watch closely. Thielen is out of the top 3. It's not even. He is on the field for select third downs. That's it.
How much has to do with Jalen Nailor? Jalen Nailor's looked fine. He's impressed me a little bit, but certainly not how we thought this whole thing was going to shake out when we traded for Adam Thielen by any means.
No, it's kind of sad that another welcome home reunion has kind of gone pear-shaped. This happens a lot in Minnesota. It's never the same. You can never capture the old nostalgia, the old memories. It's hard to do. I get it. But yeah, this has been far more underwhelming than expected. Didn't even get a target in this game. So I lose that. And also lost on Vikings 9.5 over in the first half. So over for me. I'm wiped out. I need a loan.
Way to end on a positive there, Sam. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Just to your point about Thielen, that there was multiple third downs where we didn't go empty set a lot. In fact, even when they went out to empty set, they would motion, whether it's a running back, even CJ Ham. By the way, we haven't talked about CJ Ham, undefeated this year now. CJ Ham playing a big factor, big role, baby. But you're right. I looked at the 4 wide receiver set. I'm like, Thielen's not even out here in the 4 wide right now in a crucial moment on 3rd and 3 here. What is going on? So I saw that line dip from 9.5, which already seemed low, to 7.5. And anytime it's that low, it just feels Vegas knows something. I don't know how Vegas is just spooky good, but Vegas knew the fix was in. Maybe Adam Thielen didn't hit that bet. We'll talk about that and plenty more on tomorrow's show. Vikings hold on, though. They survive in London versus Cleveland. They moved to 3-2, 21-17. That's your final. Carson Wentz with the game winner. Go ahead. Touchdown pass to Jordan Addison, back of the end zone. Week to rest up. Got the bye, and then it's Philly back at home at the bank in 2 weeks. A huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. Check out Ron on the Ron Johnson show. That's every Tuesday. Luke Braun, once he gets back home, always crushing on Locked On Vikings, all the daily content. So make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, help us get to 10K. And again, stop by tomorrow morning, another episode, breaking it all down. Our guy Sam Ekstrom hosting. Until then, thanks for watching. Signing out.